Welcome to the final episode of our four-part series on the future of offsites in this current remote work culture. I'm Keely Antonio, CEO and co-founder of FeelSwell Experiences. Over the past few weeks, we've explored the critical role that offsites play in driving team performance, the importance of nature in these events, and the ROI of thoughtful planning. Today, we're going to talk about the dangers of procrastinating your offsite planning and why delaying could end up costing you more than you think. Now, as someone who's been in the trenches of planning and executing offsites, I've seen firsthand what happens when organizations wait too long to book their events, right? They're last minute, they're unsure of what the objective should be. The consequences can be significant, from missing out on prime venues to creating chaotic schedules that leave your team more stressed than energized. And that's not something that we want to do at FeelSwell Experiences. For gosh sake, we are FeelSwell Experiences. We want to give you the most incredible, transformative experience where your team can really come together. So we're going to dive into how early planning is crucial, how to secure the best venues, and the risks of throwing together a last-minute event. We're going to unpack the timeline of planning that successful offsite, the benefits of really securing those dates early, and some insider tips that you may not have heard before. I want you to really see that if you're thinking about, and this is just a common thing that we see for teams, so I'm going to use it as an example. If you've ever wondered when to start planning your January kickoff or your future forecasting where you bring everyone together, we're going to talk about that today. This episode is for you, and how that transformative experience can be really impactful rather than a chaotic gathering. So one of the biggest mistakes I see organizations make is actually underestimating the time it takes to plan a high quality offsite. Ideally, you should begin planning the process, and depending on your team, 3 to 6 months in advance, depending on the size and scope of your event. Of course, if you can do earlier than that, that's amazing. But really that's ideal, right? 3 to 6 months in advance, depending on the size. So let's just say you're a small to mid-sized team. For a smaller offsite, you can start planning about 3 months ahead. And this gives you enough time to, secure the venue, design a thoughtful agenda, and ensure all the logistics are in place. Especially for us, as we're planning multiple offsites, we need that 3 to 6 month time frame to really make sure that we're looking at the best venues for you and really able to put together that agenda, making sure that the programming, the facilitators that we bring in are available, and then ensuring all those logistics are in place. For large teams or multi-day events, if you're planning this, huge, large offsite, or maybe it's out of the country or wherever it may be, I recommend starting 6 months in advance. This allows for way more complex logistics. Maybe there's multiple venue options, and it gives ample time to create a program that really meets specific goals. To get the best venues and highest quality experience, you have to do, the search early and often. Now, the best part about working with us is that we have our venue sourcing team. They've been doing this for 35 plus years. They love it when I tell them that, because I always tell everyone it's older than I've been alive. And they are incredible. And one of the things that we see is that they search early and often. They have found, they've been doing this for 35 years, so they've got tons of venues. But they book up fast a lot of these different venues if you don't actually book them in advance, especially in peak months like January, when everybody wants to get together with their team to forecast the future year. So make sure that you're starting this process early, and be prepared to check back frequently as dates fill up, right? Because we may find a venue. For example, I'm working with a client right now. We're looking for a venue in the November. We may find that venue, but for example, what happens is they may not book it soon enough, and then that date's taken and we have to look for a new venue. So it starts the process all over again. Another thing is that flexibility is key. It's important to have, the most important things when we're planning an event is to have the date and the venue in mind, right? But being flexible can open up more venue options. Sometimes it may shift your event by just a week, and it can make all the difference to have exactly what you want. So be open-minded. Know that events are a wild experience, but we really hone in on how we can make it as seamless and easy as possible for you to get exactly what you're looking for. And then consider the off-peak times. If your schedule allows, maybe you book an offsite during an off-peak time. Not only can this save you money, but it can also give you access to venues that may be out of reach for your team, depending on budget during those peak seasons. And then again, FeelSwell Experiences, like I said, we have our venue team. They've been doing this for 35 years. They have very strong relationships with the top venues across the country, which gives us priority access and better rates for our clients. I think that's what people love most, is that they really know how to negotiate. And this is one of the many advantages of working with a dedicated offsite planning team that can really help you. Let's talk about what happens though when you delay your offsite planning. So there's missed opportunities. Like I said, we handle everything from venue sourcing to programming to being on site. And the missed opportunities, like I said, could be the best venues, the venues that you really want. It could be our speakers, our facilitators, the activities that you want to do. They often are booked months in advance. So waiting too long can mean maybe settling for the second best or scrambling to find a location that fits your needs. We never want to do that. And I think something that's really great about us at FeelSwell is we'll tell you if it's last minute, right? And we need to push it out if it can't come off the way that we create experiences. So really just being clear and transparent about that communication so that you can have the best experience possible. Again, last minute planning leads to chaotic agendas, right? There's not enough time to thoughtfully plan your sessions. We always say less is more. You need people to come in and take in information and really soak it up rather than back to back to back, and then they don't remember anything. So you might end up with an overstuffed schedule, especially if you're planning this on your own, that leaves no room for reflection and really that genuine connection that you're going for. And then lastly, team disengagement. Your team members are taking time away from their families and their personal lives to attend this offsite. Of course, we try to do them during the week, so they're not over a weekend, but they're taking time away. And if this event feels rushed, it feels unintentional, it's poorly organized, they're going to notice, right? And it can lead to disengagement rather than rejuvenation that you're really going for. So, there was a client, and when I talked to them about planning their offsite, what I loved about this client is that they were so strategic about how they wanted to be intentional. And here's, the prime locations that they're looking at. And here's the, the things that they want to do, because they had planned offsites before where their prime locations were booked, the agenda was cluttered, and the outcomes were very unclear. So they came in going, I want to do something different. And I want to create something. And we really love that at FeelSwell Experiences, when you come in and you've got this idea of, hey, you know what? I actually don't know fully, what I want all the details to be. I trust you, but here's the objective. We need to work on team building. Okay, great. Because really at FeelSwell, our specialty is wellness, right? So well-being for your team. We've got team building, we've got leadership, or maybe it's innovation. And when we can hone in on one specific objective and make the outcomes very clear, that makes such a difference. So they were frustrated in their previous offsite that they DIY'd themselves with the lack of clear goals and the intensity of the schedule and all the different things. And they confided that the offsite was a missed opportunity, right? And the cost of planning this last minute offsite was evident. It wasn't just evident financially, but in terms of team morale and productivity, it wasn't as effective as they had hoped. So that's something really important to think about. And like I said, at FeelSwell, we understand the nuances of planning effective offsites. Our expertise really ensures that every detail is considered, from the venue to the agenda, so that you can focus on connecting with your team. And by partnering with us, you really avoid the pitfalls of that last minute planning and creating and in giving you the ability to create an experience that truly resonates. Now, that's a different feeling when your team feels seen and heard because you've created something that resonates with them. That's pretty amazing. So if you're someone that is ready to plan a really intentional, meaningful offsite for your team, don't wait. The earlier you start, the more options you have, the better outcomes the better your outcomes will be. The better that you will do, the more longevity you'll have with the effects of these offsites. I want you to join my upcoming webinar. It's Maximize ROI, How Strategic Offsites Drive Performance and Profitability in 2025. And I'm going to share a lot more insider tips and strategies to help you get the most out of your investment. So make sure that you click the link below in the show notes to register. Let's make your next offsite a huge success. I'm so excited that you're listening, and thank you so much for joining us in this series. It was incredible to go along on this journey with you, and I'm looking forward to way more episodes where I can educate, I can inspire you, and I can help your team grow. We'll talk soon.